Welcome to the Cauldron of Curiosities.
Once upon a time, humans foraged for their food. They travelled following the animals that would offer them meat and skins to keep their bodies warm. Footnote: this is an archaeological glimmer. There are many expert tomes to explore if you need dates and names for reference points, although the dates of the earliest civilizations keep changing. End of footnote. When humans started to grow crops, did any one of them consider tampering with them to increase their profit margin? I expect that they would have observed where different plants grew well and would have adapted them. It took them some significant time to realise that incessant farming would lay waste to once fertile forests. Oh, sorry, no, humans in general don't appear to have learnt that yet. Which is sad, isn't it? Historical observations do suggest that if there were more than one human in a room gathered together, or in a space gathered together, one of them will take a superior role and take advantage if there's an opportunity to do so, which says a lot for human beings, doesn't it? This is not to say that groups of humans cannot live in harmony, but the key is communication and being willing to listen. The Western world reached 2026, and now we see the shops are a chemical experiment. What were once readily recognised food items such as milk, eggs and meat have been powdered or split into other properties or ingredient names. Cereals have been exposed to steam, chemicals, split and dried to allow food to stay fresh longer. That really does mean you need to explore what the term fresh means, because if it looks fresh and it smells fresh, is it fresh? When you look at the ingredients and think, if it's been plasticized and made squidgy because they've put in things that would normally be found in the greenhouse or your shed, should you be eating it? Research carried out on this new band of ingredients has not all been confirmed as safe for long-term ingestion. Should we be eating all of these things forever and a day? One ingredient, maltodextrin, interferes with the probiotics, which would mean our stomachs can manage the bacteria easily. And the research studies found it could even provide an encouraging environment for E. coli. Does that mean I want to have maltodextrin in my food? I thought, no way, that's not happening to me. But the amount of food items that have got maltodextrin in, because it stabilises it and keeps it longer, it means the shelf life, its expiry date can be extended. And in some cases, we're looking at food items that can sit on the shelf for up to a year. So that's quite annoying, isn't it? To think that they're thinking about their profit margins, they're thinking about food not going off. And I do understand that we as a nation, as a world, there's a lot of food being wasted and they're trying to avoid the waste of food. But if food tastes bad because it's got all these chemicals in, it's possible people are throwing it away anyway. One of the things I did find on a website called Sustain is that humans throw millions of slices of bread away every day. And that's not ideal, is it? So why are people throwing away so much food? Is it because they're buying too much in the first place? I do not know the answer to that one, but I will be looking into it. Anyway, I went into Marks and Spencer's to buy a pie, and I did a little short for my TikTok place, and I looked at the ingredients, and there it was, palm oil. And we found calcium carbonate, which is chalk. Iron, niacin, and thiamine were also in it. I thought I'd have a look at some of the ingredients. Take, for example, the calcium carbonate, chalk. When they used to mill flour in the past, you were not allowed to add anything to the flour. And the additives that you used to not be allowed to add to flour was chalk. And we add chalk, we've been doing so since 1943, to white flour because someone decided that it would stop rickets. And there's a bread and flour regulation, 1998. But what is interesting is there's no strong evidence to suggest fortifying flour is beneficial to anyone. Sustain, the Alliance for Better Food, said that all chalk that's used in the UK flour comes from one quarry in France. And the thiamine and niacin are obtained exclusively from China. The other thing that I found that they were talking about was how it was odd how our change in our production of wheat has gone down since 2011, and we have now become a net importer, whereas we used to be a net exporter. Wheat is now the UK's largest import, and it seems the additives we're putting in are one of our greater imports. We're not actually able to sustain our own flour products on our own anymore. Why are we not doing this from the UK products? Now, I did have a look and thought, okay, so what is the issue with rickets and why have we got this in the bread? Well, the indication is that the main nutritional issues in the UK, which have been for quite a long time: low fruit and veg intake, excess sugars and saturated fats, low fibre, low vitamin D. And then I further discovered that rickets, the rationale for adding calcium carbonate, thiamine and niacin to flour, was actually attributed to a lack of vitamin D in the diet, or absorption through not being exposed to sunlight, by NICE in 2017 on their annual incident study. So who is telling the truth? It sometimes feels like the government is maybe not being as clear with the information as they should be. We're having things put in our food that we have no choice over. But we do have a choice. We can choose not to buy the food that has those ingredients in that we don't want to eat. But the question I always have is, what makes you look at the ingredients in the first place? And it's normally when you have an allergy, or if someone is sensitive or intolerant to a particular item, which is often milk, you may be looking for that item. You won't necessarily be noticing the other ingredients that might not be so good for you. My research that I have done suggests that there isn't any evidence to suggest that the things that they're putting into our food are safe for humans in the long term. Even the idea of putting folic acid in, many people are talking about. Have they tested it to find out if it is actually safe in that format for women who are pregnant? Should they be eating that? Have they tested it on them? It's probably not likely that they have tested any of those items on pregnant women, because it'd be really difficult to get the authority to test and have pregnant women as your study cases for your research. We wouldn't be allowed to do it, not in this country. Maybe they're relying on evidence from another country where they don't care about the outcome of pregnancy, which would say then that the ethics of it aren't quite right, are they? If they're using that type of evidence. There's a lot to be looked at, and if the only thing you can do is consider, do I know what it is? Do I want to eat it? Do I want to eat chalk? Do I want chalk in my flour? No, I don't. Do I want palm oil in my pastry? No, I don't. The other thing, I saw a really short video, which was 2 doctors who run a clinic for research into Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, said that they had realised through their research that creatine is excellent for reversing dementia. And guess where you can find creatine naturally? In meat products, dairy, eggs. It's there. It's available in the foods that our government has been telling us we shouldn't be eating, that we should be cutting those food items down. And if you're a vegan, then you need to be having a creatine supplement because you're not eating the things that have naturally got it in. And then we look at vitamin B12 and vitamin D. Where can we get that in our diet? Animal products again. And it makes me wonder where the big drive for veganism is really coming from. Now, some of you may say you came up with the idea yourself, and a fruitarian may say, but are you taking the right amount of supplements to ensure that you are not damaging your brain health or your nerves? Because the things that we get from animal products are the things that keep us healthy. The nervous system, the brain, the things that we need to be able to function. And we may need to increase our levels as we get older, especially if we've got a government interfering with our absorption. It does make you wonder, because if you're having it in a sandwich and you're eating a sandwich that's partly made of chalk, then it's going to affect your absorption rates, isn't it? Much to mull over, and I will keep looking. What I will be asking any of you who are listening and would like to comment is if you are aware of any places where you can buy clean food or buy flour that's milled and doesn't have chalk added to it. That would be really helpful. I would love to gather any of that sort of information together. I believe Sustain does let people know where you can find these things, and also they have a page where you can sign up to get access to any of the artisan breads to save waste. We need to be thinking about not wasting food and only buying what we need to eat, which sometimes I personally, as a single person, find quite difficult if I go to a supermarket trying to get just the food that I need to eat without wasting any, because it tends to be sold in family-sized portions. If you do have any comments and you wish to say anything at all, you can always email me, info@thedandelion.co.uk, or comment on the podcast or on TikTok, the Cauldron of Curiosities. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a marvellous magical day.